Hello and welcome to the third video. This is slide 2, exercise 3, and you were given some information about elves, orcs, and dwarves. This is from a reference to Lord of the Rings because it mentions the Mines of Moria. And so our goal is to write a few ratios. Ratios are a comparison of two different quantities or amounts, and in the order that they're given. So this says elves to dwarves. And so the first problem that we're going to do is we're going to find the number of elves and put it here, find the number of dwarves and put it here, and we're going to write it in two different ways, with the colon between those two numbers, and then with the word 2. So the first number to the second number. And then finally, you're going to pick one of those two forms, and then you're going to write the simpler version of it. So simplifying is this process. Since this is just an example, I'm not going to go through ratio A or B or C. C, you actually have the answers in the last slide. So if you get stuck or if you are done and you want to see if you're on the right track, please make sure you check this one out. I'm going to do part D. 1, because it's the sun, so it's an optional problem. And 2, because it really is the most challenging of all three of these. We want to find the ratio of the total beings to non-orcs. Now I want you to pause the video for a moment and think about how would you find the total beings in this situation? And what does it mean by non-orcs? What's that make you think of? What numbers do you think are important if we're looking for non-orcs? Okay, so hopefully you paused the video and you had some time to think about what these are. And hopefully you came to the conclusion that for total beings, we need to combine everything, the elves, the orcs, and the dwarves. Elves, orcs, and dwarves. And we're going to add those all together. And that's going to be the total beings. So the elves is 12, the orcs is 30, and the dwarves is 6. We're going to add those three numbers. So this is 8 and 40. So the number of total beings is 48, and that's what you should have also used in part C. Now we're going to find the non-orcs, and hopefully you thought about non-orcs as like not orcs, which means we don't care about the 30 in this particular setup, but we do care about anything else. So we care about the elves, and we care about the dwarves. And so we're going to add the elves and the dwarves together because those are both non-orcs, things that are not orcs. So that's 12 and 6. Add that together, you get 18. And so then our ratio is going to be 48, that's the first number, colon 18. You would still read it as the word 2, but when I write it, I want to say the word colon, so you know what I'm talking about. 48 to 18. And then I'm going to write that with words, 48 to 18. Now the last step is the simplifying. And for simplifying, there's a lot of different strategies you can use. One of them is that all ratios are the same as fractions. And so you could represent this as 48 over 18, an improper fraction. And you could try to simplify. Divide by some whole fraction. And the result would be the ratio that you get here. Whatever numbers go here, they have to be the same number top and bottom. And you really want to find the biggest possible number that works for these. Now I'm going to show a different strategy. This is called the double division. And it's really helpful for ratios. If you have the ratio 48 to 18, what you want to do is think of any number that makes them both. I noticed that they both end in 8. And I know that that means that they're even numbers. So I'm going to divide them both by 2. Half of 48 is 24. And so I'm going to put the answer for that division below the 48. Half of 18 is 9. If I count by 2s 9 times, I get to 18. So this is 9. Next, I think of anything else that makes these numbers. So the numbers that make 9 are 3 and 3. And I know I can count by 3s to get to 24 also. So I'm going to put a common 3 out here. These are all the common factors, the common numbers that make anything in that level. So 3 times something gets me here. And that's 8. And 3 times something gets me here. And that's 3. Now I'm going to think about numbers that make 8 and 3. Numbers that make numbers that make 3 are 3 times 1. There's nothing else for whole numbers. For 8, it's either 4 times 2 or 8 times 1. So the only number that they share is a 1, which means that this is the simplest ratio that we can get, and these together are the greatest common factor. 2 times 3 times 1. That's 6 times 1 is still 6. So you would divide this by 6 over 6, and that would get you 8 to 3, or 8/3 as a fraction. Hopefully that was helpful, and if you need any other help, please reach out.